Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I intend to support Senator Lee and Senator Durbin's bill. I think it is a good bill. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill. A number of our Democratic colleagues in this hearing and in previous hearings have gone on in considerable length casting aspersions at Attorney General Bill Barr. I want to express from my opinion, I think that those accusations are entirely ill-founded. In my judgment, Attorney General Barr has done an extraordinary job as Attorney General. I'm glad he's going to be testifying next month. I look forward to that testimony. I'm sure we'll see lots of fireworks and lots of presidential politics playing out at that hearing. But I think Bill Barr answered the call to serve as Attorney General when he didn't need to. He'd already served as Attorney General. He'd already made a whole bunch of money in the private sector. He had a very happy life. And he got a call he didn't want to return to the job that he did 30 years ago at a time when the Department of Justice was in crisis. And the job he has done is restoring accountability to the Department of Justice. And he did so knowing he would be demonized, knowing he would be pilloried by politicians, by the press. And he stood up for the rule of law regardless. And I would point out, just yesterday, the Department of Justice released handwritten notes from Peter Strzok. Those notes describe a January 2017 meeting with President Obama and Vice President Biden discussing targeting General Flynn. At that meeting, then FBI Director James Comey referred to the intercepted phone conversation between General Flynn and Russian Ambassador Kislyak. Here's what James Comey said in January 2017. The conversations, quote, appear legit. That's Comey's words as written down by Peter Strzok, both of whom despise Donald Trump and have made no secret of that. Mind you, within days, the conversations that appear legit would become the basis for a political persecution and targeting. And by the way, in those same Peter Strzok notes, they reflect that Joe Biden suggested, hey, why don't we use the Logan Act to go after him? The same Joe Biden who said publicly he didn't know anything about targeting General Flynn. Well, according to Peter Strzok's handwritten notes, it was Joe Biden, 2 months after the presidential election where Donald Trump had been elected, it was Joe Biden who said, let's use the Logan Act, an unconstitutional 200-year-old law that the Department of Justice has never once prosecuted and convicted any human being on earth for. It was Joe Biden that said, let's use the Logan Act to go after him. And Obama echoed, yes, let's target him, and can we keep this from the incoming transition? Those notes are and should be a bombshell. Of course, the nightly news can't be bothered to cover them. That level of political corruption at the Department of Justice and the FBI is an absolute scandal. And the reason I think Bill Barr has done an extraordinary job as Attorney General is he has the fortitude to expose it. And the reason why the whole Democratic world is really upset with him is how dare you expose the political corruption that undermined the Department of Justice. I don't think anyone in this committee is going to suggest Peter Strzok was some secret Republican operative. The guy despised Donald Trump, and his own notes say Joe Biden and Barack Obama personally directed the political persecution and targeting. Anyone who cares about the Department of Justice should be outraged. That's part of why I'm supporting Senator Lee and Senator Durbin's amendment here, because we need accountability at the Department of Justice. And I very much respect the chairman, but I'm not going to be voting for the chairman's amendment because Bill Barr is not going to be the last attorney general we have in this country. There's going to be another attorney general. And there may be another attorney general like Eric Holder or Loretta Lynch that is willing to allow the Department of Justice to be politicized and turned into a weapon for partisan gain. And let me be clear, that would be wrong whether it was a Democratic president or Republican president. The Department of Justice and FBI are not tools in partisan warfare. They are meant to follow and apply the law. And that's why I'll be voting for this legislation.
And Senator Whitehouse,